now that I created my objects, the thing about like what I was displaying, if you go to this bold and I do the print string and it shows how many I've collected, this is just a debug tool and I love using them, and I use it often to test parts where I'm at, right? That's why I have two in here, one here and one here, where I can just say like this is saying I'm colliding and then this one is giving me the count. Those are just for debug purposes. If I want to actually have a user interface that shows on like a heads up display that tells the player how many they've collected as the game goes on, then I'm going to need to add a thing for it. So what I'm going to do is get into my content drawer, and I'm going to go to user interfaces and create a widget blueprint and a user widget, and I'm going to call it UI widget, right? Because this was the win widget, right? We just won. This one is going to be the UI widget. We're going to double click it and edit it. And now we want to search for canvas. And we're going to just add another canvas. Now, this one kind of makes a difference. We're going to be adding, just like we did before, where we want to add different objects in here or display, right? And what I want to do is I want to add the bolts that I have, right? So I have the picture here, so I'm going to add this, and you'll see I just clicked and dragged it into my screen, and it might be a little off, but like I want just an image here, right? And I'm going to put that up in the corner, right? Because this is for a heads-up display, so I want to have a count on how many items I have. And then I'm going to also want a text box, right? Text. And we don't actually need a whole text box. We just want the text. So I'm just going to click and drag a text out here. And you'll see it has text block in here. What we want is text, right? So here's where the text is. And so I'm just going to put a number just so I can make it look like what I want it to look like, and I can design that part of it. And then we want font, and we want to make it bigger, right? This is just so that we could kind of see. And you want to make this green box that is around it, you kind of want this to be like the right size around the box. You probably want the font to be a little bit smaller. All right, so that's just me playing around. So then you can see I have 5 bolts, right, that we have here. And so we could do this, we could hit compile and save. And again, I like doing things in increments just so that I can make sure what I'm doing is working. So what we want to do is we want to add this to our display so that when we hit play, we want it to be displayed up here, right? So I'm going to hit stop. And so now to add that as a heads up display from the beginning, what we're going to want to do is go to our third person character and then click on the event graph. And you'll see that we should already have stuff in here that is default that comes with the template. You kind of want to go scroll to a blank section and right click and search for begin. And so you want event begin play. And just like we did before with the heads up display, when we hit we win for the things, we're going to do the same thing for this. We want to create the widget. And this is going to be our heads up display, so our UI widget. And so that's right. So we modified the class to be the UI widget, and now we want to click from this from the output is we need to then add it to viewport. Add to viewport. And So now if we hit compile, I need the return value to go there. It's always nice that the system, that's why we hit compile, make sure that we didn't mess anything up. So we have our compile. And now when we go to the play, right, and I hit play, you're going to see I have the bolts in the top right hand side and the number 5, right? And if I come and collect things, it's not counting them yet. And that's because I'm just having them be on, I had it hard coded in there. So now we can go back into our widget. And what we need to do is make this actually bind to the item that we have. And to do that, we're going to click on, we're back in the widget, we're going to click on the text for this, and we're going to go look at the value, right? That is right here, that is the context text. And you'll see it has kind of like a broken paperclip. If you click on that, what it's going to do is say create binding. And we click on that and it's going to open up a new window. And in this new window, we're going to add some processing and some more blueprints to add the variable that we created in here. And so what we need to do first, right, is get that data. So we need to add the third person in here. So what we want to do is switch over to Event Graph, and we're going to right click and say, actually you have one right here, Event Construct. We're going to pull out from that. So we want the event called Event Construct, and we're going to cast to third person character. So again, if you're doing first person, you'd be casting to first person. And then what we need to do is, coming from this object, we need to get the player that we have. So get player character. And so that's basically going to give us everything that we had in the third person character. And we then want to promote this. So we want to right click third person and promote to variable. So this will, we basically want to save off the data from the third person character. We're going to call this player reference. So that way we can easily access that, and you can see the data type is third person. So this is going to let us go in back into get text, where we could then drag that. So right, you just click on it and drag it into the thing, and then we're going to get the player information. So now we have that player information in our thing so that we could get the data from it. And we could click from here and say, right, we have the collect, right? So we have get collect count. So that is the value that we saved off from before. And so now we have that. We need to convert it to text because we want, right, it's a number, and we want that number to be able to be displayed on our thing, but it needs to be text. So what we're going to just do is say to text. And so now that value is to a text. And so now you can see purple to purple. You can put that here. And now we're going to hit compile and save. And we're going to go back to our widget, or not that widget, back to this, and we'll test it out and see, right? You see now we have 0 there. And if I come down and I start collecting my items, I have it, it's updating, right? So now it collected all 6 of my items.